Welcome to We Talk DevOps, brought to you by IT Outposts. We will explore how companies can succeed in the digital era by implementing DevOps, without complex jargon, to give you a clear and accessible understanding of these processes. I'm Alex, your host, and my voice is powered by 11 Labs. Welcome back to our series on what clients really want. Last time we discussed stability. Today, let's talk about the second item on every client's wish list, seamless scaling. Picture this. Your app is running smoothly, but without growth, you're stuck in neutral. Clients don't just want a stable site, they're dreaming big. They want to see new customers flowing in, maybe even replicate their success with similar products. It's that moment when you realize your current product is thriving, bringing in solid revenue, and you start wondering, what's next? This is how people start considering selling franchises, expanding to other countries. And here's the beauty of having a solid infrastructure. You can confidently step into a larger market, knowing your system will perform even with a bigger customer base. In addition, scaling isn't just about adding more resources. It's also about adding more services. Let's say you have a website that's working great, but you want to add a new feature. You've got to think about how your current resources will cope with the extra load, how new features will fit in, and how traffic will flow. Whether you decide to scale all your resources or just launch new features, you need to have these ambitious growth goals in mind right from the start when you're building your initial infrastructure. But, and this is crucial, you shouldn't try to add everything at once. It's better to create a strong skeleton that works now and then reinforce it as you grow. We've seen startups fall into the trap of building something that works initially but doesn't allow for growth. They didn't consider whether they could increase resources later, and they didn't leave room for expansion. If you're relying on quick fixes, they won't work in the long run. You end up trapped by your own code and infrastructure. We once saw a case where different approaches to infrastructure were used together. Things were hard-coded with the attitude of, well, it works, so let's not touch it. But when it came time to update the cluster, it was a nightmare. Those quick fixes were incredibly difficult to rework, and if the person who created them leaves the project, you're left staring at their work, clueless about what they did. In situations like these, changing even a few variables means you have to rebuild everything from scratch. On the flip side, we've also seen new startups come in all excited about the latest tools. They want to implement everything at once. But when you try to launch their app, it doesn't work because one tool conflicts with another. They haven't fully figured out how to use everything, and this ends up delaying their market entry. That's why it's crucial to incorporate your plans and desires into your infrastructure from the get-go and scale gradually. This way, you won't have to redo everything later and potentially pay the same amount or even more, or overpay for services that eventually don't work for your current setup. Speaking of costs, stay tuned for our next episode where we'll tackle the thorny issue of cost efficiency. It's a delicate balance. Often, being thrifty can work against stability and scalability. What's your experience with scaling? Share your stories with us. Let's learn from each other. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I was glad to share the latest news and ideas about DevOps with you. If you want to learn more about how to enhance DevOps practices in your business, be sure to check out the additional information in the description of this episode. Add We Talk DevOps to your favorites to not miss our future releases. And remember, every little automation brings us closer to greater achievements. This is Alex, and you've been listening to We Talk DevOps. See you soon.